Welcome to the Well Off Podcast, where the goal is to motivate, inspire, and share success principles. And I'm here with Lee Strauss, who is a fellow rockstar agent. I've seen him around a couple times. I actually tried to meet with you. I don't know if you remember a little while ago, but I know we've both been really busy. So I'm glad you're able to make it today.
Yeah, well, thanks very much for having me today.
Yeah.
I appreciate being here.
Great. So the way I usually start off, I'll talk a little bit about where you started before real estate. And I know that you've got a different career as well, which is interesting. I always appreciate hearing people's stories. So do you want to talk a bit about where you grew up?
Originally, I'm originally from Kitchener, so Kitchener born and raised. I still reside in and around the area of Kitchener, and that's where I do most of my business, but I also do it as far as just pretty much all around the GTA, like Rockstar in a whole services, like as far as where we go, Oshawa to Niagara Falls to Windsor, pretty much, more predominantly in London, and then probably up as far as Barrie.
Right. Yeah. Well, investors go wherever the opportunities exist. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's great. So what was it like growing up in Kitchener? Which part of Kitchener did you grow up in?
Kitchener. Kitchener is just kind of Kitchener, I guess. It's I was predominantly in the Forest Hill area. Okay. Forest Hill, Forest Heights. I'm not sure how well you know the area. I don't know but, yeah.
But what was it? What was it like for you growing up there?
It was good. We lived in Kitchener for, I guess, my first 15 years, and then we moved just outside of Kitchener, so we still call it Kitchener, but to a small town called Mannheim. It was just a little kind of country community, but literally it's 5 minutes from the Kitchener boundary. Right. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah. And did you grow up in a family of investors of some sort, or were you kind of the first one to branch off and do that?
No, good question. I'm not sure that I would have ever gotten into real estate without some influence from my dad. Yeah. My dad, so growing up, my dad had a family business, Mr. Transmission. Oh, okay. It's a franchise. So I kind of grew up in a shop. I started working there from the age of 8 years old, which is child labor, but it all worked out in the end. So started working there very young, and then just watching my dad run a business as well as manage rental properties. It's the lessons that taught me is just, you can't compete with that. Like having that instilled in somebody at such a young age, it just becomes, this is just what you do. Right. So fast forwarding from 8 years old to 21, I bought my first rental property. I still lived at home with my parents, and bought a property which I still have today.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. And so with your dad, did he just have one or two, or did he grow a big portfolio of rental properties?
He had a large portfolio. He did a lot of, I guess it was probably would have been in the late 80s, early 90s. There was a real estate boom happening. Yeah. There wasn't as many regulations and restrictions on investors. It was a little bit more kind of freelance than it is now. He did a lot of pre-construction build, where you could literally buy a property from a builder, and then sometimes, like even back then, you didn't even have to use that builder to build. You could just hold the lot for a bit. Now, most of the subdivisions that we see are Mattamy or Fusion, like the big builders. Yeah. And when they own fields as far as you can see, and if you buy a lot from them, you're using them as the builder.
Of course.
So things kind of changed from what they used to be. But long story short, he used to be able to buy pre-builds and sell it before they even put a shovel in the ground. Right. That was kind of one of the things that he did. But he had a large portfolio of rental properties, and it was interesting as a kid. Whenever somebody would move out, we'd go over and clean up the property and get it ready for showing, or I would just occasionally tag along with them for picking up rent checks or dropping off Christmas presents or whatever the task might have been. I was there, so it was early exposure for sure.
Yeah. And did you have any siblings?
I had a sister. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And was she involved as well?
Not really. No. Not really. I guess it just kind of the way it all worked out. Yeah. I'm 4 years older than her, so it just kind of made sense, I guess, for me to go than her. And she's interested in it now today. Yeah. But she didn't have the same exposure as I did, for sure.
Yeah. So does she have any properties today, just out of curiosity?
Not now, but we talk about it quite often, and she's working on finding something.
Oh yeah, because your dad invested, your brother invests, so I'm sure she's curious about the process.
She is, yeah.
All right, so you get your first property at 21, still living at home. Do you remember what kind of well, actually, yeah, you still have it. So was it in Kitchener, and was it just a standard?
It's in Kitchener. It's in Kitchener. Yeah. It's just a run-of-the-mill single family. It's a semi-detached, so I shouldn't say single family, but it's just a regular home. Nothing. It's not duplex, secondary suite, nothing like that. It's just a semi-detached home. So I own the one half of it, and in the 16 years I've had that property, I've had it's turned over twice. So from when I was 21, I rented it to somebody that they lived there for 6 years, and then the next people moved in, and they're still there today.
Wow. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
And how long after that first property did you start buying more?
It was a while. Obviously, in hindsight, if I would have been able to buy more at the time, I would have, but maybe I wouldn't have, but I would like to think that I would have.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how many years it was, but that was my first property. I put everything I had into that property, and then it took more than a few years to save up to do the next property I bought was my principal residence that I ended up moving into.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when I was 21, I didn't have a career at the time. It was just money that I'd saved my whole life. So it did take a while before I got into the next one. I guess really it was only 5 years.
Yeah. And was the saving, so you saved your entire life.
Yep.
You're 21 years old, and now you're in a position to buy. Was that something that your dad taught you to do?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And did he teach you from a young age to do so?
Absolutely, yeah. And I pass on those same lessons to my son now today.
Okay, great. Yeah. So does he save on his own now, or are you setting up a fund for him?
I opened, him and I went to the local bank to set up a bank account when he was 3.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool. I got some pictures of us walking in. He had a little sport coat on and a fistful of money. So we opened up a bank account in his name, and we talk about it. Like at this point, he's only 5, so he doesn't have a lot to contribute still. Like we put that money in 2 years ago, and there's only a little bit more to put in. But whenever he does get a full piggy bank or birthday money or whatever it is, we talk about putting it in the bank,
right?
Rolling up the loonies and toonies, and just really trying to. I mean, he's still pretty young, right? So trying to teach him the basics of, like, I can trade you a $5 bill for a handful of toonies or a handful of pennies, and he still sometimes falls for the more like he'd rather have 100 pennies than a $5 bill.
Yeah.
So we're still working on.
Yeah, he's 5 years old.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But no, we talk about that stuff daily. Yeah.
What's your hope for your son?
Well, I started a business in the last few years called Strauss Investments. So really, it's just like fast forwarding all my my real estate investing experience, 16 years of it. I figured I might as well help people doing it as well, coach people and so on. So Strauss Investments is my company, and we talk about him becoming part of that company one day if he should choose.
Yeah.
But just putting it out there as an idea.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So we touched on that company. What are you doing today with regards to real estate?
So as of right now, as of today, I have 2 flips on the go. I've done a number of flips in the past, but this is these ones are a little bit different. They're a little bit larger scale. Each of them individually, the renovation costs alone are over $100,000.
Yeah.
Each of them. So, and they are on a more not a predominant street in Kitchener, but it's a little bit more of a higher end, a little like kind of upper middle, I guess I would say, to kind of scale it for the listeners. So we are renovating it to a higher level than just a regular run of the mill kind of get in and get out. Yeah.
And with these projects, are you managing the renovations yourself? Are you acting as the general contractor?
That's a long story.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll leave it at yes. I am currently acting as the general for one of the properties.
Yeah.
I did hire a general for one of the other properties.
Yeah.
And so I bought these 2 properties in the spring. I bought the first one. I have been interviewing contractors trying to find the guy that I can lean on, the guy that I can look to, the guy that's going to get me off the job site, and I can just keep handing him projects, and he's gonna finish them on time, on budget. After about 2 months, I realized he's not the guy. I'd already bought a second house, so obviously I can't hand it over to him because it's not going to work. And I started to see that very early in the process. But so long story short, I'm managing the one. I'm also managing the other, that one that he's doing, but it's kind of double the work because he's not doing what he was supposed to be doing.
Were there any lessons in this that you've learned and that you can carry forward into the next project? Definitely
are lessons. I would, a crystal ball would be nice, right? Because I certainly, this contractor came very highly recommended. I went through all the proper steps to research him and kind of vet him. We met on various job sites and talked about many things. He came across like a great guy. He still is quite a nice guy, but as far as work goes, him and I are very different. Efficiency is big to me, and organization is very, very important, especially as a contractor. That's one of the most important steps, qualities that a contractor should possess, is efficiency and organization. As it turns out, like I said, he's not the one.
Yeah. Well, you said he came highly recommended. Was it a friend or a colleague of yours that recommended
There
him?
were a couple colleagues, and I will be chatting with them when the time's right about what's, how does this happen? So,
So to avoid a similar situation in the future, what would you do differently?
It's a good question, because I feel that I did almost everything. Like, I can't think of anything that I left out. It's not my first time, so it's just, whether it's just a string of bad luck, or if you do this enough times, it's going to happen. I'm trying to figure that out, like literally daily, trying to think about where did I go wrong? What did I miss? How did this happen? And I can't come up with the reason. I really feel that I did do a good job of figuring this guy out, and it just, as soon as the deposits started coming in, the work just started to slow down. So,
which is pretty common, and
unfortunately it is.
And sometimes you just have to go through it yourself to figure it out, because some people might have a good experience, and then it just so happens that the way you're treated is a little bit different. So there's no way to really know until it happens.
True. Very true. So, I mean, if you find somebody good, or when you find somebody good, hang on to them for as long as you can and treat them right. If I don't nickel and dime, it's not worth my time. When you do that, then the contractors start to kind of push back a little bit, or that's where then they don't see you as a valuable customer or resource, where it's just, if I can find, the unfortunate part is in this situation is, if this contractor would have done what he was supposed to do, he would be getting work for years. Easy work. Like, just here it is. We don't have to meet and talk about it and go over this and go over that. It's just, this is how I want it done. Do it. Let me know when it's done. Unfortunately, like I said, that's not the case. And as time goes on, not to go too far into this whole situation, because this is what we're going on about, but I have been finding out that I'm one of many in this current situation with this particular. So whether this is just the way that he operates, it's not to say all contractors are like this, because I've dealt with many good ones. And ironically, through the situation that I'm in right now, I have also met many good new ones as well. That I can continue to work with over the years.
Well, that's the thing you hear about contractors. They start off, they do great work, and then as they get more and more clients, their work rate slows down, because they just have to disperse themselves, and they just grow way too fast. So that might be something that you're running into as well.
Definitely.
So right now, are you primarily doing flips over the last, say, 2-3 years?
At this, I would say primarily over the last couple of years, that's mostly what I've been doing.
So how many, if you don't mind me asking, how many projects do you typically take on in a year, flips?
I will take on, I guess there's no real goal or number. It's just as many as I can find. The deals aren't always accessible. But I do put as a realtor as well, I put in multiple offers when I am looking weekly.
Yeah.
And then as many as I can get, I work on them.
Yeah.
And I get them done.
Yeah. Okay. So you're finding most of your properties on MLS?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then when you find something you like, let's say you're looking every week, you set a goal that I'm going to write X number of offers, and you just throw them out there and see what you can get your hands on. Right?
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. There was, I guess, kind of funny. There was a couple weeks last winter where I put out so many offers.
Yeah.
And I thought, I hope I don't get them all because this is going to be a problem. But yeah, most of the time, you can write offers all day, and you may or may not get any, or you might get some sign backs or whatever it is. But the important thing to remember is that there are always properties available.
Yeah.
And there's always a seller, there's always a buyer, and there's always ones that fall through the cracks. And those are the ones that sometimes you want to look for and see if you can make them work.
When you're writing your offers, do you have a certain price in mind where maybe other people would be afraid to put that on paper, or you don't really work like that?
I don't work like that in the sense that I'm not afraid to put it on paper. If the sellers don't like it, then they just, it's no hard, it's business. It's no hard feelings. It's just take it or leave it.
Yeah.
And if you leave it, I'll come back next week and give it to you again.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I've come across certain people that say just, I wouldn't have the courage to make an offer like that.
Yeah.
But I think I agree with you, and you're just providing an option. If the seller wants it, they can take it. There's I'm not hurt if they don't take an offer. Yeah.
And they shouldn't be insulted either. I've never understood that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's here it is. Do you want it or not? Like, it's not it's not an insult, and it's not scary.
And what sort of criteria are you looking for with your flips? Do you have a certain goal, say for your ROI, or a certain profit margin that you're looking for?
Not really. I know a lot of people work like that, and I just look at it in the sense of, because if you're too selective, you're never going to buy any. Oh, this one's not this, or this one needs this, or this one, it would only return X percent. It's just, is it going to make money, and can I buy it?
Yeah.
So the first thing to do is to run the numbers and see, is it going to make money? What can I, if I buy it for this offer price, how much would I be able to sell it for 6 months down the road?
Yeah.
If it works, put the offer in. If they take it, done deal. Right. If they don't, keep looking.
Right. But when you're analyzing a deal, let's say it's going to take 150 grand or 200,000 of your funds.
Yeah.
You don't say, I've got to make minimum X amount on my investment to go into this project.
No, I don't.
Oh, so it could be like you can make, say, 20 grand and you'd be okay with that?
Yep.
Really?
20 grand's better than zero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I guess.
Yeah. Like, I'll take it if it's going to work. Obviously you look for higher grossing profits, but if that's what's available,
right,
it's better than doing nothing, right?
So maybe it depends on how busy you are at the time as well.
Yeah.
If you don't have anything going on, any flips or any projects, then you might take a lower return.
For sure. You never know. Sometimes there are ways, then, if it might be on paper a lower grossing property, you might be halfway through the renovation and say, you know what, maybe to bump this up, we're going to do higher end fixtures, or we're going to do some kind of addition. It doesn't necessarily need to go to like secondary suites or anything like that, but just something that catches the eye that might cost you $1,000 extra, but it might, to a buyer, you might get an extra 10.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's great. So I know lately you've been focusing on the flips. Earlier on in your career, were you buying and holding more often? Yeah.
And ultimately the flips, just in the current market, if I see an opportunity, and I've gotten more accustomed to and better at doing the flips. So if I see opportunities for current income, because like flips would kind of equal current income.
Yeah.
I'll take it, and I will ultimately put that income into buying properties that are gonna
buy and hold.
Yeah. That's where the money is. You can flip all day, but if you're gonna be able to buy properties and hold them for years to come, that's where the true equity and wealth comes from.
So basically what you're saying is that you're fueling your buy and hold properties through these flips. It's a source of income and you're funneling that money into a buy and hold.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. And do you think that now is a good time for flips? Do you think that the market allows you to make some money on flips?
It's definitely not. You know what? It's always changing. So if you can find them, or if you have somebody that can find them for you, that absolutely. It's there's never a time where you can't flip a property, rent own a property, buy and hold a property. It just doesn't exist. Whether the market's up or the market's down, it doesn't matter. It just it works. Period. It's just it's. I try and keep my stuff very simple. A lot of people get caught up in the fundamentals and the technicals and the markets and the economy and so on. It's important to know that stuff, but in the end, it doesn't really matter. Just like we talk about all the time with the immigration that's happening in the GTA alone, and the economy, like interest rates have been going up a little bit lately, but it doesn't change anything. It really doesn't. A lot of my clients are concerned about cash flow. It used to be as simple as buy a property, put it up for rent, and you'd cash flow a couple or a few $100s a month. It just literally worked like the first property that I bought 16 years ago. It was that simple. Today's different. But what I always tell everybody is like even in the last, I'm sure you found the same, even in the last 4 to 5 years, cash flows might only be $100 to $200 a month. So my first question to everybody is $1,200 to $2,400 a year going to change your life? No. Is $1,200 to $2,400 a year why you're investing in real estate? I hope not, because that's peanuts. But when you break it down and look at what's the appreciation, what's the mortgage pay down, how long are you going to hold this property for? Now we're talking. That's where the money is made, and that's the big dollars. Well,
even with that cash flow, oftentimes you can't pocket it because you got to save it, put it aside so that you can reinvest it for repairs or maintenance, vacancies, whatever the case is.
Even if you did cash flow $2,000 in a year, one repair, that's gone. Like you're already in the negative. So don't not buy real estate because it doesn't cash flow $100. It doesn't make any sense. It literally makes no sense. So people are getting scared now and kind of not turning their noses at it, but saying I'm going to hold out for something better. And it's just, to me, is just you're wasting time. Like the clock is ticking. The years are going on, and the longer you wait, the harder it's gonna get. If people think it's hard now and it might break even, in 2 years it's going to be cash flow negative $200. But if you have that property for between now and these coming 2 years, it will by that time be cash flowing. You're going to be up how many percent in equity and appreciation. Those dollars are you're leaving them on the table for sure.
That's right. And when you're looking, so for the most part, let's say that lately you've been doing flips, are you looking for a specific property type?
For a flip? Yeah, I definitely like I guess for lack of better words, it would be kind of like the mid-century type home. So I call it grandma's house. It's 1955 to 1965, say, even 1970. And it's original. It's got the old mahogany brown doors, the brown trim, all kinds of layers of wallpaper. And some have asbestos in the floors and asbestos wrapped pipes and all these different things that we don't use today. But they're solid houses. They're often in good areas. They're often in central areas, the city that you may be in, which is close to amenities, close to everything. Because those were the cities years ago. Everything is just built around that. So if you're in those areas, you can usually get wherever you need to go in a matter of 10, 15 minutes, where in the new builds of cities, and I'm referring to Kitchener, everything's on the outside of Kitchener. So if you're buying a new build, not to invest, but just to live in, and I think about this stuff when I'm looking at flips, because where are my buyers that I'm flipping this house for going to come from, and what are they looking for? Everybody wants to be close to schools, amenities, and nicer established areas, big trees and all those kinds of things. So when you're in the new areas, it's just field and then houses, and then dirt and there are new schools, which is a plus, but there's no trees. There's no grocery stores usually around, or they might be building them and they're coming soon. But to get to the highways, to get to different things, it's an extra 10, 15-minute drive. So finding these older homes that are dated, but aren't they're not destroyed by any means. They're just old. They just need somebody to come in and make them new again. And you can do a lot of big changes and like major improvements on these houses.
Yeah, of course. And like you said, you're in a great area. You've got good bones.
Yeah, exactly.
If the foundation's solid, everything is decent, then you can just go in there and give it a facelift and make some money on that for sure. Yeah. And you're doing something good for the community as well by making these changes.
Absolutely. The neighbors, which are typically older people, are always walking by and they're always commenting on how good the house looks and how they can't wait to see the finished product and come through the open house and all these different things, because you are like renewing that street house by house or whatever it may be. It's obviously it's going to take a while, or it sometimes it encourages them to make some changes too. And it's the snowball effect. Before you know it, that the street has turned over. Yeah.
And are you doing major renovations in these homes in the sense that you are potentially taking down walls, changing the layouts?
Yes.
Anything, maybe doing additions, things like that?
Yeah, both of the ones that I'm doing right now, no additions to the property, but additions as in adding bathrooms that weren't there before.
Right.
Taking down walls, putting up walls, just strategically making them more appealing to our current standards and our current buyers.
Yeah, and in your opinion, for a flip, what's the thing that adds the most value?
Probably it would be between like curb appeal and interior layout and finishings.
Yeah.
Value is an interesting topic because there's a difference between value and perceived value. So people like to see things that perceives value. For example, one of the items that I'm using in both of these current flips is a Nest thermostat.
Yeah.
It's you can buy a thermostat for $25. Actually, usually with a new furnace install, you get a free one. It just comes with it.
Yeah.
But when you put a Nest thermostat on there, like it looks cool.
Yeah, it does.
And you walk by it and it lights up and turns on, and you can do it from your phone. People like that stuff. So they cost about $250 a piece. But when somebody walks in and sees a Nest, it's just like, oh wow, this has got a Nest. And it's just they actually get caught up and almost sidetracked with the bells and whistles, as opposed to looking at some of the important things. Obviously, I take care of the important things as well. New plumbing, new electrical, everything's all
like furnace, AC, roof.
Yeah, like a Nest. In reality, those people, if I didn't put one in, they could put that in any time.
Yeah.
But putting a new furnace, putting a new AC, roof, windows, siding, all these different things, those are big deals.
Yeah.
And that's what you should be looking at. But they don't catch your eye.
Yeah.
A roof is a roof. A furnace is a furnace. Who cares? But when you've got light switches that are controlled by your phone or a thermostat, that's cool.
Yeah, because it's more unique. It gives the home a bit of character.
That's right.
Yeah. Do you stage your homes when you flip and are ready to sell?
Yeah. It definitely doesn't have to be every room, but absolutely for sure.
Yeah, and
people have a very hard time visualizing. It's quite a skill to acquire, actually, to walk in. And that stands true for flipping as well.
Exactly.
When you're walking into a house that's looks like you're in a time machine from 1965. It's hard to visualize. What am I going to do? I'm going to take this wall down. I'm going to remove this bulkhead. I'm going to, open up this, close this, change this, do that. And man, does it ever stink in here. Like to get past those things, it's a trained quality.
For sure.
And it's the same with buyers that are looking at properties. They walk into an empty shell. It doesn't matter how nice it is. They can't figure out where they're going to hang the TV. So if you do it for them, or you have a couch there, or whatever it may be, or a couple bottles of Perrier on the counter, it looks cool.
It's one less thing for a person to think about. Yeah, absolutely. And, in my opinion and in my experience, only about maybe 15% of people have that eye where they can walk into a home and say, okay, it looks terrible now, but I can imagine what it's going to look like once we do a little bit of work.
Yeah, I haven't been able to put it into a percentage, but that's probably about right.
Yeah. And okay, let's say we rewind 2 years ago. Did you work on some flips back then?
I did.
Between 2-3 years ago. The market was going crazy, multiple offers on everything.
Yeah.
And in Kitchener, I know prices shot up quite a bit over there.
They did.
Did you ever come into a situation where you bought a home, spent a lot of money, and then when there was the downturn last year, where maybe you were ready to sell at that point and you realized that prices have come down, did you come across anything of that sort?
I didn't. No.
Have you ever been in that situation where you didn't make as much as you thought you would on the flip potentially?
Not yet. Not yet. Maybe we'll interview again in a couple of months after these ones are done. We can see, but yeah, not as of today's time. No, there hasn't been any.
You've always had some sort of profit where it was worth your while.
That's right.
Do you plan for a potential situation like that?
Well, yeah. If you're flipping is a dangerous business. It's not for just anybody. Just all the TV shows. Yeah, it's TV. That's the important thing to remember. It is TV, and it's not necessarily all accurate or real. Mm-hmm. So when you're buying a house, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. You're actually betting. Hopefully, you're an educated gambler. And I'm not a gambler. I go to Vegas and I'll spend $50 max. Yeah. Because it's not. I can't predict it. Yeah. Real estate, I will gamble $500,000, $600,000, $700,000, knowing that when I'm finished, I'm going to get $1 million for it.
Right.
So I haven't been in a bad situation yet. Mm-hmm. I imagine it's the same as anything. The more you do it, the higher the chances of that happening. Yeah. You can always budget for things. You can always account for things, but things will happen. Mm-hmm. So it is a dangerous business where you have to know what you're doing. You have to know how you're going to do it, and you have to get in, get it done, get it sold. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. I also tell my clients that I do like consulting, coaching with for flipping or just real estate in general, is that flipping in Canada or really anywhere is a volume business. You flip one house, like people think, oh, all I got to do is flip one house. So you walk away with, let's even say $30,000 or $50,000. Is that going to change your life? Not really. It's going to make a difference maybe right now, but 12 months later, you're in the same boat, right? So if you're not developing relationships with contractors, realtors, mortgage brokers, investors, realtors, whatever it might be, and you don't have a system planned out and an exit strategy and how are you going to do it and a plan, like how am I going to get in, orchestrate this whole business and then get it done multiple times a year, it's not going to greatly change your life. It's going to make things a lot more stressful and busy. I can guarantee that. Yeah. But it's not going to put a huge dent in your lifestyle. Right.
Well, I guess it depends what the person is looking for. Yeah. So if they have a full-time job and they do a flip where they make that extra $50,000, maybe that helps them accomplish some of their goals.
Right? Yeah. Like extra $50,000 for the standard dual income family. That's a big deal.
It might be maybe 30% of your annual income, combined income, or 50% or whatever the case might be. Yeah.
So you don't have to, I shouldn't say that, I guess, that way. You don't have to create a business out of flipping houses. But if you do one a year or even one every 2 years, extra $50,000 coming in, that can be a big changer for somebody. Yeah. It's just full time, I guess, is kind of what I'm saying. If it's your full time job, you need to really nail it down, get it figured out.
Yeah. So I'm just curious to know, if we go back to that situation where you buy a place, multiple offers, whatever, and then the market goes sideways, what would be your plan B in that case? What would you do if you can't get what you thought you would sell the place for?
If it was, so after I finished the renovation, if I couldn't sell it for what I was like, maybe even, I'd break even if I could, because it is what it is. You win some, you lose some. Obviously, you educate yourself to win more.
Because it is a gamble to a certain extent.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. If it was going to be a loss, ultimately, I've been doing it long enough that I can afford to hold the property. Mm-hmm. Maybe it takes a few extra months to sell it for what you need, or you just turn it into a rental and add it to the portfolio. It probably, at that point, speaking of these two, just to keep it current, the ones I'm working on right now, if I was to not be able to sell one of them or both of them, they wouldn't be good rentals because they are done higher end, and the rents that I would collect for them would have to be fairly high, which is obviously going to be harder to get.
Yeah.
Even if you did get it to have that consistency where you can continuously get that higher rent for X amount of months until you can sell it or whatever it might be, is going to make it more difficult. But there are always options. So obviously holding it and renting it out would be the go-to.
Yep.
Taking a loss or a small loss, that's also an option. Obviously that's not the goal, and it's never happened, but worst case scenario, again, like I said, it is what it is. Knowing that going into it, that can happen.
Yeah. And obviously you've been doing this for a while, so you must have systems in place for your flips. Do you have, I forget what the word is, but it's like basically a sheet where you put down all the finishes that you want. And I know some investors do this where they use the same flooring, the same cabinets, the same everything in every project. Do you do something like that, or is it always case by case?
It's case by case.
Okay.
Yeah. Definitely do things a little bit, for lack of better words, I guess, it's more custom. Nothing really custom about the house, but we don't use the same paint colors all the time. It's just, this one is going to look good with this one, and this one's going to look good with this one.
Yeah.
Fortunately for me, my wife is very interested in design.
Yep.
And I guess decorating and that type of thing, and what looks good with what. So I bring her in to figure out, okay, what color do you want this wall? Personally, it doesn't make that much difference to me. I need the answers. So pick out the countertop, pick out the paint color, pick out the backsplash, pick out the tile. That one's too expensive. Let's find something cheaper, and let's just get it all picked out. So what we do is we kind of do it in stages, where depending on what stage of the flip is happening right now, we will literally drop the kids off at the grandparents' houses or babysitters, and we'll go out to Home Depot, Lowe's, and a couple other independent stores in town, and we will narrow down the light fixtures, the flooring, the trim style, what doors are we using, what countertop, and I just make a list of it, and then as needed, it gets dropped off or we go pick it up. So I don't have to be scrambling on site. We're doing backsplash today, and nobody knows what we're using. Everything as far as the grow colors are picked out. So she can visualize that. She can pick it all out for me, get it all lined up, and then as I need it, I just draw from that list.
Okay, and when you're looking to get quotes from contractors, do you have your list prepared where you just get, say, you want to get a quote for labor using the materials that you've already selected? Is that how you would do it?
Not really, because they don't really care what, like, let's just say, for example, tile. It doesn't really matter what tiles you're putting in.
Yeah.
I'll just say bathroom floor. This is what they'll say. This is what I charge a square foot, and have the materials on site. So then I can, I can have everything there. They show up, they put it in.
Yeah. But how do you compare one contractor to another if you don't have the specific list of the things that you want to get done and the type of materials that you want installed?
Well, typically I would supply the materials. So like I said, again, it doesn't, like, whether you're using $100 light fixture or $1,000 light fixture, the installation's the same.
Yeah, right. But there's a difference between installing, say, hardwood and ceramic tiles or laminate flooring.
Most contractors have, this is my price for tile install, this is my price for hardwood install, this is my price for laminate install, and so on. This is my price for vinyl install. So then I know what it is going into it, and it's just perfect. I've already done the measurements. I have the square footage, and it's just plug in the numbers.
Right. So you are pretty involved in most of your projects. It's not like you hire someone, you let them just go to work.
That's right.
You're there on a regular basis. You're overseeing most of the project.
That's right. Right. Yeah, I am. And the goal is to get away from that. The situation I'm in right now is a bit unique.
Yeah.
And that's going to change. It will come to an end, and lessons will be learned, and things will be different next time.
Right.
But my goal is eventually is to be more off-site.
Yeah.
Still providing the finishes and this is what we want and these are the styles, this is the SKUs, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But as far as that, like being there consistently, the goal is to get away from that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And something that we haven't really discussed, but you're also a firefighter.
Correct.
And that's pretty much your career right now.
That is my current career.
Yeah. And how does all of that tie in together? First of all, how did you get into firefighting? And then you started investing at 21. Were you thinking about becoming a firefighter back then?
I was, yeah. So at the time of 21, I was still working. So graduated high school. I was in the local college with the firefighter program, working at my dad's business during the day, going to school at night for fire. And then, I guess just it took like getting into being a firefighter is quite a competitive process. So it took a number of years to get hired with the Kitchener Fire Department. And then moving forward, I am a firefighter. The schedule, it was one of the draws to me, was because it allows me to do other things while I am a firefighter. So being a realtor, being a real estate investor, so those are two busy jobs. But my schedule allows me to do that.
Yeah.
It's challenging. It's busy because although firefighting might only work out to, so we do a 24-hour shift in Kitchener, it might work out to 8 or 9 days a month at work, but you are at work for 24 hours. So it's a juggling act. And then with having a family, it's busy times.
Yeah, because if you think about it, that's the equivalent of 3 work days for most people that you're doing in one shift.
That's right.
Right. So you're doing 8 or 9 times 3. So it's almost like 24 shifts basically. Yeah. Interesting. And then do you find that more and more people in your field are getting involved in real estate investing?
There are a number of people that are interested in it. Some people go kind of more on the beginner side where they might get 1 or 2 properties and just that's kind of it. And that's fine because people get very interested in retirement and pensions and such. And having 2 properties that you have for 30 years, that's a pension right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally, right? Yeah. So that's I wish I could say that more people got involved. I wish I could say that. But there's a lot of holdbacks, like getting into real estate. It's you don't hear the good stories, you hear the bad, because the bad stories are exciting and interesting.
Yeah.
My tenant left in the middle of the night and they left the place a dump or whatever. But when someone says, well, like this past year, my equity grew by X percent, it's just not exciting. Right? It just sounds like a big deal. Like
exactly.
So I wish more people were getting into it. It's not as bad as everybody thinks it can be, and not everybody thinks that, but it has its ups and downs, and just like we always say, is you just have to get in and hang on, make it work.
Right. Yeah. So I guess in your downtime, that's when you're looking for properties to purchase, or you're overseeing your projects and potentially helping some of your clients get into a project themselves.
That's right.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's great.
Yeah.
And do you have any plans on potentially retiring from being a firefighter?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you want to, when you do that, is that in the near future? And do you think that you'll be focusing on real estate?
Yeah, definitely focusing on real estate. Real estate has I guess, like, to put it bluntly, I've always been interested in business. Again, like I said, I started working for my dad and with my dad as early as 8 years old. Brought up with an interest in with an upbringing around finances and saving and planning and investing. It sticks, right?
Yeah.
Hence why I do that with my son, and I'll start that with my daughter too when she's older. But getting into firefighting was something that I was interested in at the time, and I still am. But I've been doing it for 11 years now, and after you're in something, it's not exactly what I thought it was going to be. And as a person, I've grown over the years, and I see a lot more electricity. I turn on when I think about real estate. It's exciting, and it's a passion. Yeah, I love working with clients. There's kind of a newer client that I've been working with recently. Then he's just he's a sponge. Everything I say, he's taking it in and he's acting on it. And he's been super successful in the last 12 months. It's been life-changing for him. And I'm sure you'd agree, buying 1-2 properties for your family's future, it is going to change. It's going to change everything.
Yeah, of course.
Not overnight. It's going to be a while, but it will change their legacy greatly for years to come.
Exactly.
So that is exciting. Like, I love seeing that. And sharing. I've been doing this for I've been in this for 16 years.
Yeah.
At different capacities, but I still have been. So to be able to pass on knowledge and share that with other people, and literally show up and walk them through, this is how you find tenants. Show me your ad before you put it out there. All those different things. Coaching, right? Coaching them. Yeah. I quite like it.
Yeah. Exactly.
So that's something that I'm really interested in doing. And you have one life, right? So if you're like, I would never do a job just because it's a job. And it's just like, well, you know what, I worked hard to get here and I'll stick it out for 30 years. I can't. I cannot do it. So
yeah, I agree with you 100% on that. And it's funny because Tom just earlier in our meeting was talking about how if 30 years ago your parents or whatever, they saved $10,000 for you,
that's right,
and they gave it to you today, what would you do with that? But but if you invested that $10,000 back then into a piece of real estate or something, what would that be worth today?
Exponential, right?
It's totally different.
Different.
Absolutely important for us. Just the problem is that most people, they're not focusing on putting aside money so that they can invest it into their families, into themselves, basically. And they're just paying all their bills off or living beyond their means. And it's important for people to share that message that you've got to invest for your family and for the people you love and for yourselves.
You really do. You really do. It's not easy. Like it's, you know it, I know it, everybody here knows it. It's not easy. Getting off the hamster wheel, like the everyday grind. Like, we've got a family with 2 young kids, and you know, I work, my wife works. It's busy. Like, finding that extra drive, whether it's like just physical time or physical energy, to, okay, it's kids are in bed and lunches are made, and it's like, what do? And it's like, I'm gonna go work now. That's hard. Like, that's hard. So you don't have to work hard. Like, I'm obviously doing it at a different caliber than most people, but I've worked up to it. So as advice to a beginning investor would be to find somebody that they can work with. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Why? Like that's like, take what I know, take what you know, take what whoever else knows, and implement that, and you're leaps and bounds ahead of where you would be. So doing that, and then just say, every Saturday morning, I'm gonna, work with my coach, or I'm gonna go with my realtor, or whatever it might be, and turn that into a habit.
Yeah. And
then once you do that for, maybe you'll find a place your first time out. Who knows? Yeah. But a lot sometime in your, like, obviously the more the better, but if it's the typical hamster wheel, which unfortunately that's how it is for most people, you have to allot some time to do something different. Yeah. It doesn't matter. Like, if this is your goal, if you want to. If you don't, you're always putting out fires. You're always just doing the day-to-day stuff. So you have to set some little bit of time aside to do some research on properties, do some reading, do some learning, take part in some coaching, listen to podcasts, whatever it might be. You need to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And one thing I got from you earlier is not to overanalyze deals. Yeah. You find something, you make it work. Obviously, you study it and make sure it works, but then don't look for every little tiny thing so that you can find a way out. You can give yourself an excuse to get out.
Totally. Yeah. The last 2 properties that I bought were both properties for sale as is. And obviously to the investors, it's not the seasoned investors. It's not scary. It's not a thing. To the average home buyer, they're just like, well, what if this? And it's just like, what if? Who cares? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you're renovating the house top to bottom anyways. Who cares if it's an extra $5,000 or an extra $10,000, or maybe it's not. Like, maybe you don't need that, whatever it might be. It just, those things don't matter. We're dealing with hundreds of thousands of dollars. And everybody, I always say everybody, people get commonly caught up with the little what ifs, like, well, it might be an extra, it might need a roof. It's like, who cares? It's $5,000.
Yeah.
It's problem solved.
Yeah.
We're talking, you're putting an offer in a house for $400,000. What's another five? It doesn't even translate to like a percentage. Like it's so little.
Yeah. I guess people sometimes look for a reason because they're afraid. It is scary.
It is scary
to invest, especially if you've been saving a long time or if you're using equity from your home.
That's right.
It could be a scary process. Yeah. So people have to kind of work it out in their minds.
Yep.
But then that's why if somebody like yourself or me come along and we walk them through it, then it can help ease it. Because we've been through our own renovations and stuff. Yeah.
To me, investing it's an interesting thing. And if you're going to invest, let's just call it 400,000, nice round, easy number, in a property versus, let's say, a mutual fund or a stock. To me, buying that property is way less scary than buying the stock or the fund, because if the prices go down or whatever, you've got a piece of paper. If you buy the fund or the stock, it's garbage. I've done it. I've done that. I was quite into stocks years ago, and they're worth, when they go down, they die. Real estate might go down, it might blip, it might go up. It doesn't matter. You're holding an asset. It's something. You can't hold it in your hand. It's not a piece of paper. You can walk through it. You can renovate it. You can force appreciation. You can do all kinds of. You can hold it. Just wait. Obviously, you have to have deep pockets to hold it. If you scrape your last couple dollars together to buy it, but there's often a way to make it work and to figure it out.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Great. So let's go into the next section, which is the random 5. I'm going to ask you 5 random questions. You can just answer whatever comes to mind first.
Okay.
And they are going to be totally random. Like the first one is, who is your favorite superhero and why? Or who was? Okay, if you don't watch them anymore.
I watched them, I guess, out of being a father.
Yeah.
So that's funny you asked that, because my son asks me that almost every day. Dad, who's your favorite superhero? Mine is Iron Man or the Hulk or whatever. Yeah. So I always answer with Superman. I just think that Superman can fly, and that's just cool.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I was actually thinking as I was coming up with the question, I thought Magneto would be cool because he can fly.
Oh, yeah.
But he also controls anything with metal.
Right,
so
right, yeah.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Who'd you look up to as a child?
I guess the best answer would be my dad. Yeah.
Yeah. He set the example of what you should be striving to become.
Yeah. As a family man, as a father, as a husband, as a community, like being active and just like a contributor. Yeah. And financially as well.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, because throughout our conversation, I feel like the money's not really a huge thing for you. It's more about your family. It's about being a good person, and then obviously building wealth for yourself and for everyone else involved in your family.
Absolutely, for sure.
Great. What was your favorite movie of all time?
Top Gun.
Top Gun.
Yeah. I named my son Maverick.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that must have a huge influence on.
It was just a cool movie. Just I guess at the time, like, it's just it's all guy stuff and fighter pilots, and it was just kind of cool. So yeah, that, and I guess the American Pies. I always got a good laugh out of those.
Yeah, those were pretty funny.
Those are good.
Yeah. Okay, a lot of childhood questions, but what was your best school memory?
Oh man, that's going back. We're reaching into the dark corners now.
Good ones, not bad ones.
Yeah. I'd have to say, so my best friend Mark, this just comes up in our regular conversations. That it's a funny story. We were walking down the hallway at our elementary school, and I remember it was just totally normal. There was nothing out of the ordinary. We're walking and talking, and he stopped and put both of his hands up on the office, like the principal's office door. The door was open, and I kept walking, not knowing that he had stopped. And right when I looked back, he just threw up. So it was he just stood in front of the office and just puked on the floor.
Oh, really?
And I bring that up to him all the time, because it was just.
Did he get in trouble for that?
I guess he felt sick and he just stopped. And like I said, I kept walking, not knowing that he wasn't even behind me. And when I walked another 50 feet, turned around, and just right at the right time, I just saw him puke right there.
That's funny. And that's funny. Your favorite memory?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. And you're still in touch with Mark?
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. Okay. If you had to eat one type of cuisine for the rest of your life, and that was the only thing you can have, would you choose South American or Italian food?
South American. I don't know that I've had much South American food. I'm interested in like are we talking like real stuff like pupusas, or are we talking like tacos?
I guess both.
Yeah. Okay.
You can have any South American cuisine or any Italian cuisine, and that's it for the rest of your life. I
think I love Italian. I love pizza and different pastas and basil and such. But I think Mexican, or I shouldn't say Mexican, South American is maybe a little bit more options. Like you got the enchiladas and you got the mole sauce, and it's just might be a little bit more diverse. Yeah. And I'm kind of a foodie, so I think I would probably go with the South American. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's great. Have you ever been to anywhere in South America? No. Have you been to certain places in the States where there's a lot of South Americans? No, but I've recently, it's kind of funny you asked that. I've recently been looking at Arizona. Oh, yeah. I haven't been. I've been to like Las Vegas, Nevada, California a number of times, even Texas, but I haven't been to Arizona before. But some of the real estate, just being as we're talking about real estate here, there's some really nice options there. Mm-hmm. As I grow older, I understand why older people used to always not like the winters. And I never understood it. And I can see that in my kids. They love it. They love the snow and the cold. Mm-hmm. I hate it. It's horrible. So looking at Arizona, it looks so cool. Like to look out the window and there's cactuses there, and some of the architecture is really, really interesting. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping to plan after these projects that are currently on the go, take some money and go down to Arizona for a couple of weeks and just kind of check it out. Mm-hmm. So that's something that I've kind of been looking at coming up and coming. Yeah, 2019 goal for you. Maybe. Yeah. Good. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So that pretty much wraps it up. Before we end things, do you want to tell people how they can reach you and maybe what services you provide? Certainly. Yeah. So as we discussed, I am a salesperson here at Rockstar Real Estate. You can reach me via my office email, which is Lee, Lee, at rockstarbrokerage.com. Alternatively, you can look me up on Instagram on my Strauss Investments page. So just Strauss Investments. I think that's, or at Strauss Investments, I guess is how it is. Yeah. So those are probably the two best ways to get a hold of me. Mm-hmm. As far as what I provide, I am a realtor. Yep. Also, like I said, so what I offer is part of using me as a realtor to my clients. I offer them consulting services, I guess, for lack of better words. Mm-hmm. I don't just, I'm not the regular kind of run of the mill where it's just, here's the keys and here's your Christmas calendar in the mail. I don't even do Christmas calendars. Yeah. You're too young for that. Yeah. But I like to keep an open means of communication going at all times. People can get a hold of me all the time regarding a landlord problem or a question, or a tenant problem or question, or a construction problem or question, whether they are just buying them to hold and like long-term buy and hold, tenants move out, or how do I market to tenants? I'll help you. Mm-hmm. Or I want to flip. How do I do that? Well, let's get started. Yeah. Or rent to own, or student rentals, or whatever it might be. I've done it all, and I love to help new people work through those problems. Great. Yeah. Great. Yeah. Well, I'm sure you do a great job for your clients. Good luck with your 2 flips. Hopefully that goes well. Good luck with Arizona as well. Yeah. And I'll see you around. Okay, George. Thanks so much. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Well Off Podcast. If you enjoy the show, then I'd really appreciate if you left us a review on iTunes and let us know your thoughts. In order for us to get a larger audience, it's really important to have reviews, so your support is extremely appreciated. And also, don't forget to share the podcast with your friends and family. Until next time, I'm George Almasri. Have a great day.